Last weekend, I milled my first log with the chainsaw mill attached to the Stihl MS261 chainsaw. Small saw, small log mill. I'm gonna mill a much bigger log today. The last log, I got a 6x6 and a 4x6 to use for the barn loft. I think out of this log, I'm gonna be able to get 6 4x6s. My setup on this log is a little bit different than the prior log. Last log, I actually used a ladder on top. It wasn't nearly as straight or as not free as this one. In this case, I did screw my boards onto the end, and then I just have this board resting on top, screwed down to that. That's gonna be my flat surface for taking the first slab. This log is 17 inches in diameter at this end, close to 19 inches in diameter down there. I only have a 15-inch cut width, but working around the curve of the log, I may not be able to do the bottom slab from this face. We'll see. I'm thinking though it's going to be too wide there and I won't be able to reach across to knock off that bottom slab. If that's the case, I'm going to have to roll and then slab perpendicular to this, and then I'll be able to get the other sides. All right, so I have now set the saw to do the bottom slab, and you can see this post needs to clear the side of the log, and based on the length of the bar, it looks like I can just make it on that bottom slab. So I'm gonna try it. I guess worst case scenario is it doesn't make it all the way across and I have to run back on the other side. That would not be ideal, but we'll see how this goes, because obviously this is the skinny end of this log. It gets fatter toward the other end. Well, on this butt end, we missed by just over an inch, and it stopped coming through about halfway up the log. So that's kind of trouble. I think what I'm gonna try to do is run the deck on from this side and go up this side and see if I can buzz that out to free the slab. Not ideal. Probably should have checked this end before I got into the cut. Well, cutting from the other side, you can see I ended up off just a little bit. At the end of the day though, given the application as floor joists, this won't really matter. Lesson learned, double check both ends, make sure that saw bar is gonna go through the whole way, because I could have avoided this if I rolled the log 90 degrees, took off another side, and then went back. So for this second slab off, instead of using the level, I'm setting square. This was actually my first cut on this face. This is the one that didn't go all the way through at the other end. So this is a better surface. So I'm gonna run the saw down this side, but I gotta get this square so that when I lay my board on top to run down, it'll be square to this. Gotta do the same thing on the other end. All right, so at this point, I've got 3 sides slabbed off. I have about 12.5 inches wide, and then working this way, I've got easily, 12.5 or so this way too. I think since I'm aiming to get 6 4x6s or close, as long as it's 6 inches deep, I can play around with the 4-inch dimension a little bit. I think what I'm gonna do is set the mill for 6 inches and just take off a 6x12.5 and then a second 6x12.5, because I can just do 2 cuts with the mill at the same setting. And then what I'll do is I'll roll them up, and I'll just need to slice them into the 4x6s. So I'll have to make 2 cuts to split it off into 3 4x6s. So that's gonna be the plan. Not too bad. Milling goes much easier once you have everything squared down to a cant. And once I was only doing a rip over 6 inches, it's quite a bit faster because there's a lot less load on the saw. So things definitely speed up as you go. In total, I spent about 2 hours out here this morning with filming and camera resets and all of that. So that does add time. And I took my time going about this log too. I wasn't pushing my body too hard. I wasn't pushing the saw too hard. So about 2 hours, and I got 16-foot 4x6s. I got to get them loaded up on the forks on the tractor and get them up to the barn. Overall, not a bad way to spend the morning. Out with the saw, just working kind of slow, making some lumber.